bicentennial town. When did it change? It's currently closed and observed.
Holidays.
Normal business hours are Monday.
Sorry, you can make it yours anytime.
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound.
And there we are.
George?
Yep.
Right here? Sure. Thank you.
Just a nice back.
Okay, if everybody could please stand, remove your cover. Pledge allegiance. To the flag.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We don't have to do anything special with a payment to Surgy Construction this month, so we just go right straight to the bills. You're right. I had mentioned this and I forgot to do it. Could we please have a moment of silence for the veterans, past and present? Okay, thank you. Now we'll proceed to the bills.
No? No?
What?
Can't hear.
Can't hear.
No, I'm getting nothing.
Okay, let me try this again. Okay, let's try it this way.
Thank you for calling the town of Barre.
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Okay, Lee, can you hear us now?
No, she can't hear.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you wanna come work your finger magic on this thing? It works for you every time. What one should I put in? 4321.
Yeah, number sign.
Why don't you bring the sheet?
You got a different number, Kurt? Than that?
I didn't try it yet.
Okay.
Why not?
Did you do the number sign afterwards?
Yep.
That's all I did.
Oh, because.
That one for that.
This would have only
They haven't approved it yet.
done- I'll give that a try.
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Okay, Lee?
Nothing.
I don't hear it either?
No? You have to take the handset off, or is that, doesn't matter?
What about the receiver?
That's how I always did it before.
Take the thing off.
Can you hear me now? Mm-hmm.
Kurt, could you come up? Could you pass one out to them, please?
Okay, I think I just remembered something. I think.
You have a pen?
Oh.
Please enter your PIN followed by the pound key.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. Lee, can you hear us now?
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay.
Sorry about the delay, we had problems with the phone.
Well, the problem's with me. Yes, it is. Okay, once again now. Review and acceptance of the bills. Everybody have a chance to look them over?
Yes.
I do have a couple of questions.
I moved that we accept them, and we can discuss
Yeah,
them.
that's fine, perfect. I second that.
Okay, you wanted to talk about them?
Yep, one was, I think they're probably pretty easy things, unfortunately I was just able to look them over this afternoon. Water meters for the, Core Main LP bill voucher, Water District 9. I was just, it was said it was under an HH account. And I was confused because I thought that it should just be under like the regular water district, the District 9 Water District account.
Lee, can you come in here, please? Or am I glad she's listening?
I'll pull it up, hold on.
She's asking about Water District 9.
Yeah, anything with Water District 9 at the moment is under an HH or a capital improvement. After it gets formed fully and we get funding back from the government and rural development, it'll go back into the SW.
Okay, all right, I was just curious on that. Okay, you may want to hang on. I do have a couple of, then there was another, there was a bill for, Bud Paglow's voucher. It was less, like $20 less than what,
Because he can only have 500 a year, and he's
Over it.
perfect.
over it.
Okay, all right, I just wasn't sure, I just wanted to check on that, that's
Yeah,
fine.
It's the same thing with, right,
Okay, all right, perfect.
That's as per their contract.
Right, and I was thinking it was something along those lines, but I just wanted to just check on that. Oh, well, shoot. So, being new. Okay, and then, I had a question, and I think that Sean, this one, on the Labella's, bill. It had, I just would like clarification, because we made a motion about not doing the $4,500 fee. But
Well, it's
then,
$4,500 what we recommend doing. Instead of a flat 4,500, it would be per hour basis,
right,
up
within
to
that, right,
$4,500.
exactly. And, we received a bill from them, and I just wanna make sure that this is clarified, on July 31st, for $833.75. That was from when you sent it on to them, to have them do the seeker for going to the county without a vote from the board.
We requested them to help us with that seeker on it, yes. And then we talked about what the contract would be following that. So, yeah, it was all about that same time period. And that's when they sent the contract to us then afterwards. We had discussed it. They sent us the contract, we brought it to the board, and that's when you wanted to see it by the hour rather than a flat rate.
Right,
And that's when we voted on and changed it up.
right. But this is by percent completion rather than by hour. I just wanted to make sure that that's,
It's included in that by the hour part of the,
it's not though. It's not written out that way, it's not. It says total fee 4,500, percent complete 18.5278, total earned
well, they've sent,
$833.75.
they have sent out a description of what hours, what they did, who they contacted and spoke with. You said you saw that because your name's on there like 3 times, where they had conversations with you.
At the last town board meeting, I asked that you sent that to me, and I did not receive that. I said that I requested that I see that because I did talk to Kathy Spencer on the phone one time, and I emailed her twice. And so I wanted to check and verify that information. I do see that the times from August 5th through November 16th, at the hourly rate, we're at $290.
Well, it
And so
depends.
but that's 2 separate bills, and that's what I'm just seeking clarification in that the July bill, through to July 31st bill, was $833.75, and that was percentage based off of the 4,500, and then after that was the hourly. And I just wanted to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, and I would still like to see the itemized, breakdown, just to review it.
Sure. I can give that to you right after the meeting.
Okay.
I'll make sure I run it off for you.
Okay. And then my other question, is in regards to, Lance's bill. I had a few questions and, concerns in regards to that. So my understanding contractually, and I could be off on this, is that, you're contractually, like, throughout the year until it gets to the point where it's above and beyond normal, or how does that work?
There's a letter that went to the board, I don't know if it's back, I can't exactly remember when, but it spells out, there's an annual retainer of $7,500, and that covers attendance at meetings, general correspondence, not in-depth legal research, but anything such as water district formations, in-depth research, now with drafting legislation, would be billed extra at a discounted rate from my standard office rate, and that's been on file with the town. There is no contract because I serve at the pleasure of the board, and it goes by annual appointments.
Okay. Because some of the things that I'm seeing in here, but maybe it's just that you just kind of were itemizing everything, and then, but like you have a response to a FOIL request, and different charges, but I'm not seeing, like, I feel like FOIL is general correspondence, or is that not?
No, that was a special FOIL request, so I think that FOIL request came from, did it come from you? I thought it might have come from you, I'm not sure.
No, it did that
Just
one.
recently?
No, this was way back.
I was gonna say a long time
No,
ago.
it's dated, September 10th, 2018. So I guess I'm also wondering, like, I mean, this is 2018, April 10th, 2019, July 12th, 2019, and then we get into 2020. And I'm just reviewing this, and I, want to have clarification. I know that we are already over budget on our legal, on that line item.
Are you implying I didn't do the work?
Absolutely not. I'm talking, I mean, this is our town board meeting, and this is our opportunity to discuss
That's
bills.
fine.
And we received a bill that has over 2-year-old billing on here, and also has,
Well, I didn't bill every time, I did something, I mean, I let it accumulate for a while, so. Because we're just the charges that I kept track of on a time basis and then prepared the voucher from that.
I mean, I guess moving forward, I would really prefer, like, especially when, we budget year to year, and then we're looking at items that, really should have been on previous year's budgets, and then,
If they weren't in the budget and they weren't expended, those funds would still be available.
but that's not, so the way that our budget works is that each year, any unspent funds, it's not like, it goes into the general fund and gets redistributed. So it's not like it's just every year, if we don't spend legal fees, it just grows in that account. That's not the way that the budget works.
Okay, well, but he has gotten his bills together and he has submitted them, and yes, there are a couple that are lagging, but he has not submitted them before. They have not been paid to him previously, so it is these last couple of years, this one especially, because we have a number of projects going on, been very busy for a number of us in this office.
I understand that, and I agree, and I think that we need to be wise in how I just feel like this is kind of retroactive, and rather than expecting and being like, okay, well, we know that, maybe we should have this meeting, and rather than you having a meeting with the town supervisor for 2.5 hours to go over laws and comments submitted, maybe it should just be, you just attend the 4-hour workshop with the entire town board, and we do it all at one time, and then we would save ourselves over $500 and try and consolidate rather than, I mean, it's just, there's quite a few, and then there's also, you go to the last one about the wind energy law, the most recent one, and we're getting charged for sending the developer on October 6th, meet with the supervisor, make minor revisions to draft and email to supervisor and Laura Darling. And Laura Darling is the attorney for the developer. And that was an hour and a half of time, and then, each thing, review Lavella report and email to Laura Darling. And this is not about the application, this is about our wind energy law.
Correct.
So why are we emailing a developer
Because
about,
they've asked for copies, and I've asked the supervisor if I should do that, and he said yes, and so I did it.
and I've requested that I see where they've requested that, if you can forward that, and I don't think that that's something then that,
I'm not gonna be sitting here, look, I'm not gonna sit here and be accused of fabricating. That's why I asked you if you're contesting the work that was done. I'm not gonna sit here and be humiliated by you for no good reason.
I think that I have quite a few good reasons in
Yeah.
this document
Yeah, I know.
that are concerning. And I think that if this was, if you weren't concerned about this, you wouldn't be getting upset.
What is your point? What is it that you are concerned about there? That he did his work?
I'm concerned.
Did he do his work?
You tell me, because I haven't seen, the challenge is that he
Yes,
sends
he
you
has done
stuff
his
and
work.
then you don't send it on to us. So I
Yes,
don't
not
have the
everything needs to be
opportunity-
sent on when there's a revision, because when I send it on, you used to be in education. When you are in a committee, the more people you have, the harder it is to get anything resolved or taken care of. The smaller number, you can get things taken care of quicker.
But that's the problem with that mentality, is that you serve on a 5-person board.
Okay,
and I serve
what
on
is the
5.
story?
And this, I'm sorry, but you brought up that it's 5 minds looking at this. It should not just be, and it does require, we are all elected officials that are requested to review this information and review what's being done.
Carrie,
I want to make
I've got
sure,
right here a document I sent out last month, I gave you all a copy of a document. And I reminded everybody a couple of days ago to bring it with you because we're gonna talk about it tonight.
Right.
Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't have a chance to look at it. It is exactly what you wrote to me.
and I have since completely reviewed it and have written up a lot of questions and.
But the point
information
is, you
in addition to
didn't do that a month ago. What makes you think you're gonna do all this documentation? No, I don't think you would.
that.
You were given the
I'm
bills in a
sorry.
proper amount of time.
Can I interject a minute? It sounds to me that you're concerned about not being given the bills in a timely manner, and we're going back. I can agree with that. We can look in and go forward, and they can be put in a timely manner. Or try to be put in by it.
And I would like.
Lee tries doing that at this present time. But sometimes, especially like when it comes to the highway, the bills come due at a certain time or when they come in. It's when we get the billing from that distributor.
I'm looking at, she's given dates back to 17 and 18 or something like this. I'm just saying, going forward, we'll just try to bring them more up to date, that's all. It's not that.
Sounds fine with me.
It's not something Lance has done wrong or anything else, it just didn't get them in. We had the same thing on the clothing allowances that Lee went through today for going on.
Well,
They don't get them in all the time.
the only thing I can say is from now on, if it's work that's done in 2020, it'll be vouchered in 2020. If it's work done in 2021, it'll be vouchered in 2021.
I think that that would be very reasonable and appropriate. And I think that, moving forward, if we can know ahead of time what things we're gonna be charged for and what we're not, so that we can just I'm just trying to make sure that we are not duplicating or not spending more than we need to spend.
That's fine, and as I said, there's a letter on file with the board that outlines everything. That's all I'll say.
And I did request that as well today, because I was reviewing the vouchers today.
Okay, I heard a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Minutes. Down to 3 cents. Okay, everybody have a chance to look the minutes over?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Did I hear a second?
I second it. Lynn.
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? So carried. Okay, next, last board meeting. I had brought up about, Tom had a great idea, so we contacted Jeff Smith at Municipal Solutions, who does a lot of the work for the town, about water districts 2, 3, and 4, because of the low interest rates at this present time, about refinancing those 3 water districts. So this is the worksheet. As you notice, you need a magnifying glass along with your glasses. I could not get it any larger in size. And I was talking to him again today on the phone, because I just got these back. If you take a look on the first page there, refunding bond per principal, you have the 3 water districts, 2, 3, and 4. And you'll see that there is, you can see the amounts that would be paid back over the years. That's the principal if we refinance. Then you have the bond interest if we refinance, and you can see how much money is going to be spent at that time. Now, if you go way over to the far right, current debt service, second column from the right, and the estimated savings. So what you would have is the current debt service is $454,000. If it's refinanced, it would be $389,000. That would be a savings of $65,256 on those 3 water projects. Plus, water district number 4 will be paid off 2 years earlier at the rate that he has proposed. The following sheets, I underlined water district 2, the next page is 3, and the next one is 4. It shows you the interest rates, which would be quite Water District 4 are going to be paying a little bit more upfront at the start of this. It was explained to me that this is put out on bonds, and in bonds, they're in blocks of $5,000. So for Water District 4, they'd be paying a little bit more the first couple of years, but then from there on, they'll be paying less.
So for Water District 4, how much more, like, per household, estimated, and then, does it say that somewhere? Am I missing it?
Trying to get to the last page. It's all broken down on each page there. Okay, on the last page, which is the Water District 4, existing debt, and then the refunding debt.
Because it looks like in 2025 and 2026, I could be wrong, that we're gonna be spending more those years. Not significantly more, but more, and then again in 33, 34, and 36, 37, and then it'll have larger savings.
From about 21 down to 25. So for those 4 years, yeah, they'd be paying a few thousand more. That's for the district as a whole.
Oh, right. Do we know how many residents are in, or how many hookups are in Water District 4?
Not off the top of my head, no. Okay. Maureen has it, but it's in her office itself.
I mean, they have the most savings, like, I think this is good. I just wanna make sure that, like, they're not gonna get a big jump from one year to the next and be concerned or.
Unless I'm reading this wrong, it looks like the only jump in debt service occurs in 2025, when it goes from $12,253.13 to $13,075, but all the other years, at least the way I'm reading it, seem to be lower.
I was looking at the estimated savings, and in like, the highest one is in 2036, it would actually be more expensive by $1,703.13. Because it looks like because the interest rate is going,
Well, they're only showing, let's see. 2025 estimated savings, that's a negative, and the next number's a negative. And then after that, at 2035, 36 would be negative, so I guess I'm looking at that as saying that those are not years of savings, so all the
Right.
other years are.
yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4,
4.
5, 6 years of not.
I only see 4 negatives.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I see 5.
I see 5.
I see
Where's
The
the-
last two on the bottom.
There's 6.
No? Yeah. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, 4.
We go up to
I
account.
don't see any other negatives.
Okay, so it's, hold on, I gotta get a paper so I can.
1, 2, 3,
So-
4. Fifth one down, Lance, and the sixth one.
2025.
2, 3, 4. So it's 1 down,
2026.
6, 1 down,
Yeah.
and then from the bottom, 1, 2, third from the bottom, and fourth from the bottom.
And then
And one up.
2032.
Oh, I'm sorry, there is another. they put the-
255.
Yeah, you're right, I see it now.
I mean, I think like $26,000, $600 in savings total is fantastic for them. I just wanna make sure that we're not changing things too drastically for that water district.
Let's see, 4, they're gonna be 2 years taken off it, right, or Sean?
Yes, 2 years.
So theirs will be done in 26 instead of 28,
And 30.
36.
or 36.
Right.
yes.
Okay.
Well, the good news would be that when we start hitting the negatives, they will accrue savings for enough years that it would equal or exceed what that additional cost would be in those later years.
Right,
So there's, you're accruing 1, 2, 3, 4 years, 7, 14, about $1,600. And then the next few years, you've got about 11, 1,200, so you're ahead there. You know, there's a net
Right.
plus. And then-
there's definitely a net plus, I mean, they're definitely gonna be saving more than they're spending. My only question or hesitation is just to make sure that we're not, like, 1 year it's, like, just because these numbers to me, the estimated savings seem like they're so variable. I mean, you go from saving $4,000 to, you know, spending an extra $2,000. But when I'm looking through at the total debt services, I am seeing that it's pretty consistent, like the total debt services for the year of 2021 is expected 13,000, like, I didn't wanna see any huge jumps back and forth, and it doesn't look like there is, so I feel like this is reasonable. My only hesitation would be in the year 2034, their total debt services is $5,742.50, and in 2035, it would go up to $10,600. And depending on how many hookups are in Water District 4, you know, it's almost doubling that year's total debt services for the Water District. So if they were kind of lulled into it, oh, well, this is, you know, I guess it's just making sure they're aware, like, this is what we're looking to do, and this is how much it's gonna save you. Just a heads up, this is where you're gonna see a decrease and then an increase. Because it's because the interest rate changes.
I think it's a good idea. Hey, we're
I do.
saving taxpayers' money, how can you go wrong? mean,
I do too, I just don't want anybody to be all of a sudden like, wait a minute, literally my water bill has doubled from 34 to 35.
Yeah, but that doesn't affect the water bill, does it? It
Or not
affects
the,
the
the
taxes.
taxes, right,
That's your
right,
tax.
right. I think it's a good thing, I just wanna make sure that we're notifying people.
Make a motion that we continue to pursue this.
Yeah. I second that.
You wanna pursue it in what direction then? I wanna know exactly.
Well, this is showing it being refinanced to a lower interest rate to benefit the districts.
All out of curiosity, I wonder if you'll answer this phone.
You're gonna want to probably have to hire bond counsel too, assuming.
That's, if you notice on the first page, cost of issuance, that's the bond service, municipal solutions, the paperwork that all has to be done will cost $26,000, but that's included in the package.
Does that include bond, legal counsel,
Yes.
bond counsel?
Bond counsel,
Okay, I just,
that's what he told me.
okay.
And that, so that cost, just to make sure that I understand, that cost is already included and not subtracted from the estimated savings.
I'm sorry, not subtracted?
That has already been included as they go through and do this cost analysis, so the estimated savings, it's not the 65,000 minus the 26,000, that 26,000 was already included.
That is included prior to the 65,000 is the clear
And after all the expenses.
after everything.
Perfect, I just wanted to make sure.
Hi Jeff, Sean Pogue, Town of Barre. I was hoping maybe you might be available to answer a couple board members' questions. We are presently in the board meeting. If you do feel so inclined to give us a call back, please do call my cell number. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Sean, if there's questions, I'll withdraw my motion. We'll table this until you can get some answers on it.
What was that?
I don't think that this is a bad thing at all, I just think that if, so like, I'm okay with moving forward as long as just Pete answers our emails us and answers, to the questions if we have concerns.
Okay, you guys want to hang on to this for right now until we have a chance to talk to them, right?
I just suggested it.
You know? And you had said, how do you word it?
You can still continue with it without a motion at this point.
Oh, okay. Let's, at this time, let's set this aside till towards the end in case he happens to call back,
All right.
okay? Okay, next one on our own business is just a reminder, we do have a public hearing on November 18th at 6:30 for the 2 zoning changes proposed by the planning board. Okay, That was just more of a reminder than anything else. Okay, new business. The tax cap. Because of, a big part of the reason why we are going over the tax cap is because of Water District 9. And it happens to be occurring at the same time that our budget has to be adopted. So that's why everything's occurring all at once like this. Now, the one thing we have to do in order, because before this was estimated costs on Water District 9. Now with the closing only a couple of weeks away and then the Water District is officially all ours, the exact numbers have been worked out. And as a result, there is a change in the numbers or an increase. So I have here a budget modification for Water District number 9, whereas the town of Barre developed the budget for Water District number 9 project based on an estimate for the cost of the net interest expense, and whereas the actual cost for interest on the bond anticipation note, known as a BAN, will be more than the budgeted amount. Be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes an increase of $5,835 in the budget line for the net interest expense from $46,665 to $10,500 with a corresponding reduction in the contingency. $34,690, approximately a $2,500 increase in the tax cap.
Did I misunderstand? So you're saying that the additional expense from Water District 9, $5,835, because this is no longer estimated, it's the actual, now it's the actual numbers.
Numbers, yes.
But then I thought that we were offsetting that by the contingency fund?
Some of the contingency, yes. Some of it from property tax too. Serial bond principal, $5,000. Serial bond interest on that sheet you're just getting is $12,347, which is a total of $17,347 that you see up at the top for revenues. Now, the revenue for the grant, from the grant, is $14,757, making that the difference of the $2,500.
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Well, the one thing is, no matter what the story is, we have to approve a tax cap tonight. The other part then is we also have to adopt our budget, which is where this comes into play now.
Right, so what you're saying is that we have to, are we increasing our tax cap from the public from what we put out for the public hearing?
Yeah, from 32 to 34. $32,100 to 34 6, I may as well say 700.
Are we allowed to increase it after the?
Are we allowed to what? That's what the purpose of the local law is. So you're not limited to the 2% cap.
Maybe I'm thinking of the budget. Is it the,
I'm
yeah.
sorry?
So like, I'm referencing the budget, because we would be increasing the budget as well. And I didn't know if I thought that I had read somewhere that we're not allowed to increase the budget after a public hearing. After the public, like, you can decrease it, but you can't increase it.
Not that I'm aware of.
We have to make the alignment one way or another so we can take care of business here next year. I mean, water money is money in, money out. And the problem being is that this is late in the year, right when our budget is due, so it's not like we've had a chance to really work out numbers better. We didn't have the exact number beforehand, these all just came about. And like I said, this is the numbers, these are the numbers. I mean, what can we say to rural development, a federal agency? No, forget you. We can't do that too easily. They've got the money.
I mean, I just wanna make sure we do it right, I just don't know.
Well, the public hearing, we mentioned that we probably have to go with the cap.
But we sent out with everything that we notified the public on were set specific numbers. And if we have to make a change, my understanding was if we have to make a change down, that's not a problem. But if we had to make a change up, that's problematic. I'm trying to see if I can find where that was, so.
Can we get that? She's questioning more than 10 years.
Yeah, I know, it's all part of
Okay, okay. We have to wait till Maureen comes back, she's going to grab some.
When you put it up, did you leave it?
Reading from the Town Law Manual, page 58, section 4-19. After the public hearing, Town Law Section 109 provides that the town board may alter and revise the preliminary budget subject to the restrictions of Town Law 107. It simply says the budget must be adopted by November 20th and be recorded in the minutes of the town board, and then become the annual budget of the town for the next fiscal year. If the town board fails to adopt the budget by November 20th, the preliminary budget with such changes as the town board may have made will constitute the budget for the ensuing fiscal year. So this indicates to me that there's absolutely no prohibition about changing the budget after the public hearing.
Just gonna spell it out, and I've just read it, that it can be changed. The preliminary budget as submitted or amended after the public hearing shall be fully adopted by the, as of the annual budget by resolution, no later than November 20th. But it spells it out. I thought it was in this notebook.
So I think between what you read and what Lance has read, I mean, we can make the change. It's a minor change, it's not a huge change.
Seems pretty clear to me.
Okay. And two parts that we need to do here then is part one on the tax cap. The adoption of the 2021 tax cap, which would be the $34,690.55. Okay. Is there a specific way that's got to be worded, Lance?
I just did it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
After the public hearing closes, the town board may make modifications to the preliminary budget that are consistent with law. No additional public hearings are required on the changes made to the preliminary budget after the initial public hearing. You had it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Takes me a minute.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adopt
I'll make
the
that,
tax cap?
I'll make the motion
Lynn?
I'll second it.
Tom? All in favor?
I missed the second.
that we,
Tom?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Then, for us to adopt our 2021 town budget with that newest change for Water District 9, do I hear a motion for accepting that change based on Water District 9? Adopting the 2021 town budget.
Can I ask a question first? Are you passing this along with that, this resolution that you read? Is that going to be, is this resolution going before the passage of the budget?
We should do that first, that one that I read, which is the change in Water District 9. What I read before about the budget for Water District 9 and the annual cost for interest in the bond anticipation note will be more than the budgeted amount. That resolved that the town board hereby authorizes an increase of $5,835 in the budget line for the net interest expense with a corresponding reduction in the contingency line. So do I hear him?
I just wanted to clarify, so that is saying with a corresponding reduction, so it would be a reduction in the contingency of the 5,835, right?
Yes. So do I hear a motion on that?
I so move.
And a second?
I'll second.
Tom and Lynn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, now, to the budget, 2021 budget. Do I hear a motion to accept the budget for 2021?
I move we accept the 2021 budget with the amendments.
I'll second that.
Margaret seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Next, the pilot.
I'll mail it. When?
So that the
Yeah.
secretary's
I mean, sometimes you do it, that's why. No, I can do it since I've got your signature on it. That's usually why I have to get it to you, so.
Is this
I wanna be
different
ready.
at all, or is it
Okay.
the same?
They should be the same, I'm not sure.
Yes, they are. Oh, I'm glad you did that, for sure is a good part of it. You got an extra one down there?
Yep.
We've got a few, that's all right.
I like killing trees lately.
I've got that. I
Yeah,
just don't
just
have
put
it
it in.
tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, just a time?
Yes.
Okay. You already gave it to me, but it's already filed.
Okay. So here's the whole pilot for the wind. In other words, it's the breakdown of how much, as you can see on that first sheet I handed out, negotiate payment. For those of you, I had made extra copies of it sitting back there on the counter. I had read this all off at the last board meeting, and it breaks it all down as to how much each taxing entity would receive. So the negotiated payment is $9,000 per megawatt per year. Tower capacity for that, each tower, is 5.6 megawatts, and there are 33 towers, which works out to $1,663,200 for a yearly payment from Apex. The town of Barre would receive 75% of that. Or in other words, $1,247,400 per year. Now, in the HCA that we're still working on with them, and yes, you will get copies of that very soon. The agreement on that with Apex as well is that this will increase each year by 2% through the first 4 years, and that's cumulative. So it'll go up 2%, next year another 2%, and that gets added on all the way for the first 14 years. Starting with year 15 through the duration of the project, it will go up by 2.5% per year. So for the town of Barre, like I said, that would be $1,247,400 in the first year. The second year times 2%, and that's what the town of Barre would receive. The other taxing authorities would get 25% of that $1,663,000. The other entities would be the County of Orleans and the 2 school districts, which is Albion and Oakfield, Alabama. Oakfield, Alabama has 1 tower in their area. So that breaks down that the county, they agreed on their 25%, they agreed that they go 50-50 on it. So that's how those numbers are worked out. It's their 25% that they are getting, and they're breaking it up 50% of that money to each of them.
So you're saying that they have already voted on this and they've already agreed to
They
this?
have not, no. They're all waiting right now. The county is voting on it this month, and I know Albion is voting on it this month. I don't know about Oakfield, Alabama. And in a conversation I had with Jim Whipple, he said that at this time, everything looks like a go with the county as well as the school districts. So as you can see, I mean, that's a good chunk of change that would be coming into this town and increasing per year. It would help a great deal, and, you know, I've been saying all along, Sean Pogue, citizen of Barre, I don't see why I can't get my taxes cut by at least 50% with this kind of an agreement. I'm saying at least 50%. So that's what I'm looking at right there.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Our property town tax,
The tax line, the town tax.
So it
the
doesn't,
town tax line,
it won't
yes.
it won't change our county taxes,
Nope,
it won't change our school district taxes.
nope,
It will, it would only potentially, and it's not a guarantee because it's a host community agreement and not a pilot. So the town board would actually have to decide that we want to reduce the town taxes.
true.
It wouldn't just, it's not just a done deal.
No.
You're right.
And then if this business were taxed like any other business in the town of Barre, how much would they be paying for taxes to our community?
I would like you to take a look anywhere in New York State where it is taxed straight up rather than through a pilot.
Well, see, the thing is that,
No, that's the thing right there.
right, so
How many
I
projects have
I
gone?
can, Sean, I'd love to answer that question for you and to share with you some insight and some information, because
Insight.
I think that it's really important that we look at this. The number that you just said is the absolute maximum that we would be able to receive. This project, the application has not even been deemed compliant. The 5.6 megawatts, 33 towers would be the absolute highest that it could be. There is a chance that not all of these towers will actually be put up. There is a chance that they may not end up going with a 5.6 megawatt tower. So this is the absolute most that the town would be receiving if we agree to this. The other thing is that taxing wise, yes, New York State has the law that you actually, we don't have to tax these at all, like they would just be tax exempt. The town of Barre has put in that we don't want that we've got the 487 ruling that we would like to either tax them or have a host community agreement or a pilot with them. When it comes to actually looking at, because it's still, we are giving them a tax break by doing a host community agreement and pilot. If they were to be taxed based on the actual value of the turbines, or based on the property, based on the structure, just like houses and businesses are, it would be significantly higher. And so I did out the math, and I said, okay, let's estimate that each turbine is worth $2.9 million. And at 33 turbines, that would be $95,700,000. And if you look at the 2019, I did these numbers a while ago, if you look at the 2019 taxable town of Barre, you would actually be looking at that maximum, at the town, or the town, school district, county would actually be receiving $3,437,544. That is, we are giving them a 52% tax break to the developer by having a $9,000 per megawatt host community agreement and pilot.
So the only thing I can suggest is that what we have been told is, without a pilot, there would be no project. So we wouldn't be giving them anything because we wouldn't be getting anything.
But
You missed the point.
no, you're missing the point, because we have other businesses in our community. We have other projects that are proposed for our community. We have other things. If you're saying that, that's a terrible way to negotiate, to say, well, either we get what we get or we don't get anything,
No,
so we're
they've made it
like,
very clear, and that's based on other projects and other communities, that without a pilot, they don't come in. And the other thing is, your figures don't take into account annual depreciation on these wind turbines, and they do depreciate. So what you may start off with is not necessarily the assessment that you're gonna wind up with, as opposed to the pilot, which, and the HCA, which has an annual increase.
see, but I've heard, but it's not an annual increase up to the full taxable value, or
No.
even up to what the depreciated value would be.
I don't know, I'm not an expert on
I
that.
have requested that depreciation information, and what is
You
it,
have
what
it?
is it, I've requested it, I've not received it.
Well,
So, that's what I'm saying, is that I have asked for that information.
question,
Yes,
ethanol plant,
yes,
are they taxed directly or is that a pilot?
it's a pilot. Yep,
Why didn't they go full taxation on that?
because they're actually employing a lot more people than yes,
No.
the
it's
ethanol
not
plant
true.
is employing a lot more people and producing and putting in more in different areas into our community. Most pilot and host community agreements are actually looking at the number of employees that are coming in, rather than just at New York State's incentivizing
Okay.
electricity. So if then we look at the actual, do you know that there are a lot of other projects that are getting $10,000, more than $10,000, $16,000, a year for pilots and host community agreements, and that we're talking,
No,
I
you take a look, and I want you to show me where there is a better pilot somewhere in New York State, that is better than this one that we put together right here. Because I'll guarantee you can't. There's people happy they're getting 500,000 a year. And here we're looking at starting out at 1.2 million.
Yeah, what do you want to guarantee on this?
Okay.
There's no guarantees on anything.
But you're saying
Okay.
that you guarantee
There's
there's not a better pilot. There are, and you're.
Okay, where is your one? You got one there?
Yeah, okay, well, first of all, let's look at, okay, yes. Let's, Maple Ridge. Look up Maple Ridge, they were at like $26,000 a year.
No.
I did not include them in my average, but I sent to you last year a report about how they decreased. I can pull it up. Then you look at, even
How
Hutchinson,
they
they were
decreased, that's through
saying,
a pilot they decreased?
through a host, yes. Through a host community agreement and pilot, they decreased.
Well, then
because
that's the way they
company put in-
negotiated it then.
No, it wasn't. It was a renegotiated. I sent it out because it was very alarming.
But the county thinks this is a good deal.
How do you know that?
Because they told us.
If they're,
Have they voted
Okay.
on it?
Okay,
we haven't voted on it.
folks, that's what I want to hear right now. I would like to hear if we have a resolution, if someone would propose a resolution to accept this pilot host agreement.
Why
With-
should we be accepting?
We haven't.
The concept, yes, because we haven't got a contract with them at this time.
We don't have a host, there's so many factors to this that we don't have, we should not be voting on this.
This is all on the question of the allocation between the county and the town and the school districts, and these are projections based on the information that we have right now in terms of the number of turbines, the megawatt rating for each one.
What we're looking at is to put it together to continue on negotiation. We haven't agreed to it, we may go down and talk to them and not agree to it, or they may not agree to it.
Right, so why are we-
We need the vote of the board to say, go ahead and take these figures.
Let's continue with the next step.
Continue with the next step on it, that's all.
It doesn't make sense to me. I think that we haven't talked about, there were comments that were made at the planning board meeting that I think are relevant to this, that we haven't discussed yet. I just don't think that
It doesn't have anything to do with this at all.
that it does,
It
because
does not, two separate things altogether.
the comment that
Okay,
was brought
now,
up at the planning
Once
board
again,
meeting.
I'm going to ask, will someone make the motion that we accept this at this time? Right?
I'll make the motion.
We've got to get it worded so that it's.
That's why I leaned over and said, right?
So it's not locked into this is what we're doing.
Well,
Yes,
no,
move
we're
forward with
talking
this.
about,
This,
we're not talking about the absolute dollars, we're talking about the allocation. And we've been through this before, the maximum allocation was 80-20, we got a lot of pushback from the county on that. At one point, they wanted to do like 60-40, and we negotiated the 75-25, which I thought was a very reasonable, very positive result, and that's all we're talking about.
Wait, so the county wasn't happy with 80-20 or with 70, they wanted 60-40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys are saying that everybody is happy with this, like it's
Now,
not the.
Now.
This is when we first started.
This is
Karen.
what is
This
negotiated.
This is the first thing that Nesbit threw out.
And he's not part of the county now.
So how, correct wording of this would be how, Lance?
Well, that
The percentage, right?
Right, we would agree to the percentage, the allocation of percentages, 75% town of Barre, 25% to the other taxing authorities, divided half of that to the county of Orleans, half of that to the Albion Central School and Oakville, Alabama School Districts. Their half, which actually works out to be, 12.5%, would be allocated 97% to Albion Central, 3% to Oakfield, Alabama, based on the number of turbines in each school district.
Okay, Who's gonna make that motion?
I did.
Based, oh
I-
yeah, you did, okay.
Just what you said, Lance. All right, if we are 75, the county is 50, leaving 25.
Now, the county is
No.
25.
We
Okay.
get 75, there's 25 now. I know, this is what I went through with Tom.
County is 12, actually, it's a net of 12.5% to the county, 12.5% to the school district.
Okay, that's not what's on here. 12 and
Yes, it is. Half of 25% is 12.5.
It says 50 right in
Wait a
front of
minute,
me.
wait a minute.
Yeah, but
See that right there?
Yeah,
That's 100%.
correct. That's why
Okay.
I was questioning.
Now you take this 25%,
Okay, that's not spelled
and it
out.
gets broken down
Okay.
50-50. That 25% gets broken down 50-50.
Okay. 12.5 to the school, 12.5 to the county.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. Be a little clearer. Okay.
Okay, so Lynn made the motion, second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
you're not, see?
or I mean, I am opposed, nay, but
Normally I'm just checking with her. Opposed, yes. So,
Sean, I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
It said that it would increase to 2.5% on the 15th year.
Yeah,
Is
but
there an
that's
ending year on that, or is that
for the
to the
duration
end
of
of
the
the
project.
project?
for- on the Baird Solar Project between now and our December meeting, so that we can, at our December meeting, then we can pass or approve the long form parts 1 and 2. Anybody have any preference?
Aren't we doing a workshop next week? No, that's a public hearing.
We have to have at least 10 days, because we have to make notice in the paper, correct?
and actual days, not business days.
No, actually.
So anytime after the 21st, but that's Thanksgiving week.
You want to do Monday the 23rd?
No.
Okay.
I'm open, you guys
What
decide
about
down there.
December 1st,
what's that,
a Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday.
As long as it's after 6.
Okay, anybody else? Tom, Lynn,
As I know right now.
December,
Margaret, everything's all good then?
Yeah,
December
6
first?
o'clock, you said?
December what?
December 1st.
What time?
It's Tuesday,
Oh, Tuesday, yeah, but. the time,
6 or 6:30.
I don't care,
We do 6:30.
yeah, 6:30.
We generally have that stuff at 6:30, so. Okay, December 1st at 6:30, we'll have a workshop going over the long form seeker for the Baird Solar Project. And that way then we can discuss it and pass it on at our board meeting on the, what is it, the 9th? Yeah, December 9th. Okay, okay.
I move that we have a workshop on Tuesday, December 1st at 6:30 PM to review the long-form seeker for the Baird Solar Project. That's all I have to say, right?
yep,
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Ladies, I didn't really.
Sorry, yes, I
Yeah.
we're for it, for it.
Okay. So passed.
And good evening, Sean. Hey, it's Adam with AF. How are you? You guys hear me?
Yes, we can. I told Adam to go ahead and call in case we had questions on it.
Yeah, and thank you. And I just wanted to, I just had a quick question for yourself and the board. Would you appreciate if we would participate in that workshop, or is that just specific to the board itself?
That would be just the board itself.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you.
While you're on there, Adam, you may as well listen to the next one I put on here, because I would like to see about us forming an agreement with AES to pay for any consultant and legal work associated with this project.
I don't think he's there, is he?
I'm sorry?
I don't think he's on the phone.
Adam, you're on there, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry, now I'm kind of blocking and tackling some kid coverage this evening, so.
Okay.
Try my best to stay safe and streets for the meetings.
I was worried you had a heart attack.
No, what Sean, what you just proposed is not something that is, that's totally foreign to us, and, is big picture from our perspective, certainly something we're willing to work with the town on.
Okay. So we can enter into an agreement with AES. Is everybody on board with that? Did we do a motion?
Tell me what AES is, I'm sorry.
Adam, AES stands for?
Yeah, great question. It was Applied Energy Services back in the day, when the company was initially created back in the 80s. But that acronym itself has kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit, but we just specifically refer to ourselves as AES, with the acronyms meaning what they did back in the 80s, but no longer holding the same value, basically.
And this is the company that is proposing doing the project down on the Barre property on 98.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, then we can enter into an agreement here, or we work on an agreement with AES for them to make the financial payments for any consultant and legal fees that are incurred.
Does that need to be a motion?
I need a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
Well, that just brings up a point because of our earlier discussion about the billing, and that is, who is it that is going to prepare a draft of the agreement?
Well, yeah, and you,
Hi, this is Teresa Bickner with AES.
You're the attorney for them, correct?
Copy.
You're the attorney for them, correct, out of Albany?
That is correct, sir. Yeah, I'm just volunteering to send a draft agreement for Lance to look at.
Up to the board.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
Yeah, let them draft it and then we can review it, I'm sure it's.
okay. Now, based on things that were thrown out at previous meetings having to do with wind, does this mean because they're paying for all consultant and legal fees that they are buying us now?
It's different when we're talking about their application rather than a wind ordinance.
No, we're going way back. Never mind. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, next one. Looking to see, and I checked with LaBella on this, to see about hiring LaBella as a consultant to the AES project. I checked with them to make sure there is no conflict of interest. They did some research to make sure that they have done, or they are not in the process of working with this company on any other project from any other departments. And LaBella does not have anything whatsoever or any involvement with AES. In fact, two people I spoke with didn't even know they existed. Sorry, guys.
I won't take it personally.
So, I would like to see a motion to hire LaBella as a consultant for the town on the AES project.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second
Margaret? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. What? That's what I couldn't find.
Well, I think it's the September,
Is it?
if you look at September.
I don't have that in here. Okay, now to get down to it, now we got the planning board zoning changes. Short form seekers on the planning board. Here's the first one, which the town, or the planning board had filled out already. And this has to do with the expansion of the business district. Short form seeker.
I had one.
Oh,
Now, Lance, I've got a question for you on this. And that is number one. Number one, does the proposed action only involve the legislative adoption of a plan, local law, ordinance, administrative rule, or regulation? Is that it? That's a yes. So the second part of that, if yes, attach a narrative description of the intent of the purpose action, proposed action, and environmental resources that may be affected by the municipality and proceed to part two. So that means that questions number 2 through 20 do not have to be answered if you do a narrative and then just do part 2 of it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we have to come up with a narrative because they did not. They went through and answered all the rest of the questions.
Well, the narrative would be basically the proposed the zoning law change, so.
Based on the comp plan.
Yeah.
and I just had a comment, just that we were specific in the motion that we made about the extension, of general business district. I just didn't know if we wanted to put that in the brief description of proposed action. I mean, it says extension of general business district, but, that was my only comment on that.
I'm sorry, could you say that once again, please?
The project location and brief description of proposed action, when Tom made the motion at the, last month's board meeting, the wording was very specific because we had to make sure that we didn't, duplicate, there was like one parcel or something that was gonna be duplicated, so we made sure that it was from, you know what I mean?
Right,
So
that
I'm
was in your minutes,
Yeah.
Right,
So it's.
which I have it on here about motion to accept the planning board recommendation for the zone change and for the expansion of the business district.
Okay, would you like me to read how it went into the paper, because that's how we wanted it to change?
right.
Okay,
Okay.
do you have that? All right,
No,
the way the resolution in the minutes will read, just a second. The proposed changes are as follows: to change the Town of Barre zoning regulations, residential 1 district to agricultural residential, that was a change. District, to be consistent with the comprehensive master plan, and to expand the general business district. The expansions would include 1 Maple Street going west 1/2 mile starting at Route 98, both sides of the road. 2 Route 98 starting at the existing business district.
Okay,
That's where
that's-
it came into play. Heading south to Route Road, both sides of the road. We're 31A from the intersection of Route 98, beginning at the end of the light industrial district. Again, that was an area we wanted to make clear. West to the Eagle Harbor Road, both sides of the road. All distances will be designated at 500 feet from the center of the road. This action will bring the zoning ordinance for the, lost my place, general business district in Barre to what we have proposed on the comprehensive master plan.
That's perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just, so like, if we can take that copy.
It's already been in the paper.
Right, that's
Right.
what I read
That's what
from.
you're reading.
Right.
I am too. Just checking on you.
Okay, I'm glad
Yeah.
someone is.
I was just saying, if we have that, put that same wording in here.
Yep.
Yes,
just
it
cover
will
our
be,
bases.
I just have not gotten up to that, but that is how that will read in there.
Perfect.
Okay, so that eliminates all that, and for the narrative, then we'll just use the legal notice. On part 2, impact assessment. I'm not gonna read all the way down through these, so I'll take a look and see if you got any questions.
So, just to clarify, so we're not going to, you're saying that we're not gonna do part 1, we're just gonna do a narrative, and then we're gonna do part 2?
As it says in number 1,
Okay,
number 1 on the first page.
because I just had questions on part 1, but if we're not gonna do it, then we'll pass it.
Well, you're doing part 1, but you're stopping at question, yeah.
Right, well, yeah, the questions that I have are farther down, but if we don't need to fill them out.
Yeah, we're not doing anything with them, so no need to.
So then we go to 2, and the planning board had that one all filled out too.
Yes,
Um,
I've read through it and I'm in agreement with all the checks that are in here.
Yeah.
Any problems? Okay. Now, on part 3, determination of significance, I agree with them saying that it will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, in other words, a negative impact. In agreement? Okay, so we'll do a rewrite on this, and that will be the short form for the business district. And I need a motion for them to allow me to sign it.
They have to make a motion basically to agree that it has a negative environmental impact and that we close the secret process.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
I'll make it, as Lance said.
Second,
I'll second it.
Margaret started to say it.
Oh, hold on, sorry. Tom, you made a motion that you're going to approve the seeker form for the planning board's
Negative impact.
negative environmental impact on the 2 zoning changes, correct?
Correct.
And who seconded it?
Lynn? I just don't make any difference.
Hearing 2 names. Lynn,
Good live.
okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, yes,
Is the Route 98 solar project also the Baird? Because we're
Yes.
going by 2 different names.
yes.
Okay. So what is the Route 98 Baird solar project? Put all the names in there?
Yeah,
So
slash
that's-
brackets, whatever to separate them.
Okay.
Okay, we also need to do a short form seeker for the, residential 1R1 to agricultural residential AR. Now, once again, it's the planning board. I don't have a copy of what they had typed up or if they
This is
typed
what
one.
we've already done.
So but in looking at this, once again, name of action or project is changing R1 to AR. Project location is town of Barre. Brief description is, once again, just changing R1 to AR. Applicant, address, everything else is the same. Number 1, does this only involve legislative adoption of the plan? The answer is yes. So once again, we need to put in a narrative for this. We have a narrative for the,
This is what you've got. So now you want it, because you have it for the 2 zoning changes, but now you're doing them separate.
we're doing them separately because takes 2 separate
All
seats.
right, if Tom makes the same motion and Lynn seconds it, then I'll separate them.
But legal notice, do we have one for the R1 to AR?
Yeah, that was all part of the same that I read. Second?
The public hearing is for both.
It was for both, but I just wanted to, once again, I want to make sure that we have that.
The
'Cause I remember
proposed
reading them
changes,
both.
the proposed changes are as follows: to change the town of Barre zoning regulations residential 1 district to agricultural residential district to be consistent with the comprehensive master plan,
Okay.
and to
Okay.
expand the general business district.
And, okay, we use the same one. So that'll be the narrative for this one on the R1 to AR. That means we skip all the way over to part 2. Part 2, I would dare say, in looking over these questions, would be checked exactly the same. Any questions on that? And therefore, on part 3, once again, it would result in a negative impact. Okay, do I have someone make a motion that this would result in a negative environmental impact?
I'll make that motion.
Margaret's making the motion, second.
I'll second.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Get to work, Lee. Okay. Now,
Right here,
in our minutes,
71 and
Lance.
72.
last month, read 71, resolution 71, resolution 72, please.
Okay.
So we don't have to do those next 2 bullets then, do we?
No, it's done.
Yep. Okay. The next 2 bullets we can skip right over.
Can I ask a question about the, never mind, more about it. Okay.
Next one, town board declares itself lead agency for the wind zone seeker. I may have copied that over again by mistake.
No, I had the wrong project.
Oh, yeah, the AES?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so then what I need is for us to declare ourselves lead agency for the wind zone seeker so that we can proceed with the seeker.
Didn't we do that?
No,
I thought so too, and so I looked back in September, and it was on the Baird project. That's the only one I see from September or October's. I can double check.
it was on our agenda for last month, and there was a number of things that were put aside. So what I'm looking for is someone on the town board here to please make a motion to declare ourselves the lead agency for the seeker on the wind zone.
I'll move that we do that as long as we haven't already done it.
Oh, wait a minute.
I was gonna say.
Resolution 63.
September, or like,
No, October. Resolution 63, wind law seeker review lead agency.
yeah.
I thought I had mistaken.
Okay, we did it already.
What resolution was that?
63.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we have review of the seeker itself. So everybody's got a copy of that. Part 1 of the seeker, not the whole seeker. Part 1. And you've had copies of this for over a month. I have not heard anything from anybody, so this should be short and sweet.
I thought that we voted on this last month too. Because I voted no, and
Right,
everyone else
so-
voted yes. And, but then at the planning board, this is where I was gonna ask questions, because then at the planning board, I was frustrated because we voted for it, even though we know that there were things that were wrong in the narrative section, because we made changes at the workshop previously.
Okay, so resolution 64, Lynn Hill made a motion that the proposed changes to the Town of Barre wind law constitutes an unlisted action under New York State seeker. Motion was seconded by Tom. The vote was 4-1. Richardson votes no. Then 65, wind law seeker review approval. Tom McCabe made a motion that the Barre Town Board approve the seeker review for the change.
It was the narrative section.
Yeah, the narrative section, that's what I just put from.
Yeah,
That's what they had, which points out all the different changes that were made.
right,
Other than a little word here or a word there.
right, that's not what I'm talking about, like the entire section on shadow flicker can be taken out, because that was changed back. I'm talking about the, structures versus buildings, and there were a couple other ones. This was changed to come back to 25
The one that was given at the planning board was 25 hours.
hours.
Right?
No, so the wind ordinance that we sent to the planning board said 25 hours, but the narrative that we have for the seeker said 30 hours, because we had the workshop right before our last meeting, and we approved the seeker without making the changes that we made at the workshop, which is why I voted no when we were reviewing the seeker, because I was saying that there were errors in it that needed to be corrected.
That was after you worked with Labella to correct all the miscorrection, or
We had, so Sean, right before our last town board meeting, we had the workshop to go over the wind ordinance. We made changes at that workshop, or, decided that there were things that we were going to change. Then, at the town board meeting, immediately following that workshop, it was voted to approve the seeker without changes being made, which is what I was trying to say, and I was outvoted. So, that's what I'm saying, is that there are corrections, and no, I haven't worked on it since, because you guys already approved it, so.
Okay, so why are we discussing it right now then?
Well, I think, I know
Because it's
that,
wrong, because we should have it corrected
I
if
know
we're
that,
gonna send it to anyone else.
I know that we had a discussion with Knopf Shaw about this, and also with Kathy Spencer, and advised them what those minor changes were, and that their opinion was that it wouldn't affect the outcome at all. They weren't concerned about it.
Okay, so what I'm referencing, I don't think that you guys are understanding what I'm referencing. Tom, do you mind if I use your paper, because you got it right here?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, oh, you mind, we have Town of Barre revisions to the Town of Barre Wind Energy Law, EAF Part 1, Section F, narrative. If you look, for example, this is gonna be the easiest one to do, is that we have a change, Section 350-10310, requires that WECSs are designed to preclude the number of hour shadow flickers falling on any area, roadway, residential structure from exceeding a maximum of 30 hours per year. Now, our original wind ordinance states 25 hours per year. We as a town board at the workshop decided to go back to that 25 hours per year. That was not changed, so this entire section can just be taken out. And there are a couple of others, it's not major, but there are some other things that if we are going to be sending this to the county or putting it in the paper or doing anything else with it, we should have it correct.
Well, I know that we told the planning board at that meeting that it was staying at 25 hours.
Right, right,
We
so but
informed them of that.
they didn't know that until, because we were there, we were able to say that, but that's not the information that was shared with them. That's not what was written for them to review.
Yes, sir.
It's not, this is it.
Well, the law was, the revisions were made. It was my understanding they had a full copy of the revision of the law with all the revisions up to date.
Right, so,
Including leaving the shadow flicker at 25 hours per year.
right, but what they were using was the seeker form. They were using the
That's
narrative.
what they had at the planning board.
That's what they primarily work from.
No,
Yes, I told them.
This is what we talked about. But they had, I know Wes was sitting right there and he had the 30 hours and we had a discussion, we pointed out that was actually something that we changed at the workshop right before the meeting. And so it didn't get corrected.
Well, wait, a minute. the town board, the town is the lead agency, and it's the town board that is essentially the lead agency. The planning board is not responsible for issuing the seeker. The town board is. So if it needs an amendment, the town board can do that.
But, okay, that's great, that's what I'm saying, is that we need to amend, we need to correct the narrative for the seeker, because it's not accurate. Our current seeker narrative is not accurate with what the town board was proposing for changes. And before we go and put it in the paper or have a public hearing on it, I'm saying that we need to have that corrected, and that's what I was trying to say at the last town board meeting, but it has already been voted and approved, so.
Well, for a public hearing, yes, we'll have all that corrected, we'll have everything all taken care of, it'll all be spelled out right there. Exactly what the proposed wind law would be.
Can we correct the seeker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Doesn't go anywhere except right here.
I don't know what specifically she's referring to.
In the seeker. You mean the narrative?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can certainly amend the narrative, and that's not a problem.
Okay. Now, that's a good segue, talking about the public hearing, because that's the last bullet I have. Town board sets the date for a public hearing on the proposed wind law changes. And once again, with Thanksgiving coming on up, it looks like the best time, and we have to have them 10 days, would be during the first week of December. Now, we already set a workshop for December 1st.
Before we set the public hearing date, should we go over or talk about or review what was the suggestions made by our planning board?
Well, to tell you the truth,
No, you don't have to.
no, we,
You don't have to do that to set a
No.
public hearing.
So we just asked them to do it and rush it for no reason?
Well, first of all, I read the minutes, because they said that their, quote, recommendations were gonna be based on what's in the minutes. They didn't make any recommendations. It was basically a no action by the planning board.
That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
There were specific requests for us to look into information and to look at information.
There
I
were
also read
requests,
through.
but not recommendations, and that nothing that the planning board voted on by saying, we recommend you change this, we recommend you change that, there's nothing, I read the minutes today.
I attended the meeting,
I did too.
and they shared that they wanted the minutes to be read as recommendations, and they requested, they asked, and you were sitting here, and you did not tell them that, no, by reviewing your minutes, we will not look at them as recommendations unless you specify these are our recommendations. They were under the impression and under the understanding that by submitting their minutes, that those are their recommendations. It was, I believe that was recorded, and we can go
Planning
back.
board thought it that way.
We could, because they specifically asked, can we submit the minutes as our recommendation? That question was posed specifically.
No, I think they made the statement that they were gonna do that. I'm not sure the question was posed.
So,
Well,
the intention was there. Excuse me?
I said, shut up.
You
know?
just,
Oh,
it's
my
very
goodness.
disrespectful for our attorney to talk
Excuse
to
me,
a
we're having a
resident that way.
discussion. Nobody in here has the right to speak to the
You know
board
what?
unless we
Nobody has
recognize
the right
them,
to speak
okay?
to my daughter
Now.
or anyone else in that
Okay,
manner. I would like
that's
to
your
see
daughter, okay,
an
that's a
apology.
personal family thing.
You know what?
Have a seat, please,
I
Miss
don't care who
McKenna.
it is, I don't care who it is.
Have a seat, please,
Nobody
Miss McKenna.
needs to be, excuse me? Oh, go ahead, honey.
Your husband has this, he's always
You're
interrupting these
ridiculous.
meetings.
Okay,
Yes,
When he's not
Miss
supposed
McKenna,
to be.
please sit down.
okay.
He's
That's
After
the
I
third
hear an
time.
He's out
apology
of order, and I
to
think you're
Carrie
out of order.
McKenna, council person.
Oh, my God.
Excuse, sit
Have
down.
a seat,
Oh.
please.
After you give her an apology, Attorney
Have a
Lance
seat.
Mark.
I didn't say anything to her. I
Who
said it
did
to
you
your
say
husband.
shut up to?
Your husband.
Okay, well then, thank you for telling my husband that I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, as long as everybody's speaking out of order, I want to
No,
clarify
okay.
something
No, you
also.
can sit
Lance, I would like
I
to
am
know.
kind of a little bit disgusted that I, as a planning board member, going over these requirements, at that planning board meeting, was asked,
People-
is our minutes gonna be taken as recommendations? And we're told yes.
We've done that.
And if you're sitting there and saying more realistically avoided that on purpose,
Yeah, but I have to call
that's
you.
disgusting.
You're out of order. That's what I just meant.
Oh,
You're out of
and you
order.
were just completely appropriate.
Oh, I can't wait till the next planning board meeting.
I should have simply said be quiet. I should have said shut up. I apologize for the choice of words.
Thank you.
Thankfully, the planning board meeting was recorded, so we can go back and actually see what was said.
Good.
But my understanding was that their intention was that the minutes from their meeting were their recommendations to the town board.
Specific.
And that we should be reviewing them because we asked them to do it at their earliest convenience, we asked to hurry through.
I don't see any kind of, what I can interpret as a recommendation. They just repeated the narrative from the seeker.
There
That's all
were-
they've got here.
No.
There
were specific requests that were made to review like the PPE for setbacks. There was a request to look at what is the town, and that's what I was saying when we were looking at the host community agreement and pilot discussion. There was a request of, wait a
No,
minute.
that's listed here, height, noise, setbacks from property line, not residence homes, and snow and ice throw are concerns of Dr. McKenna. It does not say concerns of the planning board.
They specifically.
That's a specific
asked
person, not the
for-
board as a
But he
whole.
is a planning board member, and the minutes were approved by the planning board, and they were handed to us as a recommendation from the planning board. If they wanted to go through and do it differently, but that was the way that they presented that information, and I do think that it's our responsibility as town board members to review that information and to either
There's nothing to
dismiss it.
review, I'm sorry.
There's specific
Okay,
things that
what I
are
would
in
like
there to review, to scientifically show setbacks. And what are you laughing at? You were at the meeting also.
Okay. Okay, so,
Can I just say one thing?
yes, sir.
I remember there was discussion about, there was some concern about ice throw. To be honest with you, I've researched that myself, and I have information on that because people were just concerned that chunks of ice were gonna go flying all over the place, and the setbacks weren't sufficient to protect residents from that. Everything that I have, and I'll be happy to share it with you at some
Did you see
point.
the formula that we found, that I found? And then I wanted to have an engineer, John Hall, I was hoping you guys would do your due diligence and ask him about
I
that.
have done due diligence, and I've specifically requested information on that, which I said I'd be happy to share with you, because it's public information, and essentially what it comes down to, all right, truth, not fiction, not opinion, truth is that ice, first of all, one of the things I want to know from Heritage is what safety measures they have to guard against icing. I don't think you can guard against icing completely, but what would happen if an icing condition existed and what their safety measures are. I have an answer to that. I also looked into the setback issue, and there are reports that even come out of the siting board that say that in terms of ice throw, I'm not saying it's never ever happened, but their position on it is that ice throw does not exceed the tip height of the turbine. And our setbacks are 1.5 times for participants and 2 times for non-participants. So, at least in terms of the material that I've seen, that we're well within the safety standards for ice throw.
And the terms of the conditions that I saw with that formula, and I wanted to see if that formula was legitimate, worked out to be 1,800 feet for the one at 700. That's what the PPE we wanted to look at also.
I'll share my information with you. I told you I'd be happy to.
Can you share it with the entire town board, please?
I can share it with the entire town board. I think you already have, I sent it to you, Sean, but I'll be happy to.
But there was
send it.
other recommendations that the planning board made, and we put them in the minutes to present it that way, with the faith that you would do your due diligence and review it. I should have laughed too, I guess, when they...
Yeah.
To me, it's just a,
It's a repetition.
it is, it's all that, with the exception of,
Well, there was a motion I think you made to have a referendum,
Yes,
And
I
that-
didn't get a
Get
second.
a second.
and that motion didn't
I
pass.
didn't get a second. Didn't pass, it never got a second.
There was also the question of what is the town getting? The developer knew coming into this that the town was set, the height restriction was set at 500 feet. And there was discussion of, well, wait a minute, if we're gonna increase this to 700 feet, what is the town getting to compensate? Why would we just increase it by 40%, not increase the setbacks by 40%, and have it be okay to go ahead and just move forward?
It wasn't a recommendation, there was discussion. I believe your father wanted to know what the town was going to receive,
That was,
what
that
value.
was, that
Let
was
me
not,
finish, please.
that was not brought up by Dr.
Oh, yes, it was.
No,
Oh,
that was
yes,
brought
it
up by
No.
Mr. DePatie.
No.
Yes,
It was brought up by Mr. DePatie, and
You
we
said
can
he
go
brought
back
it up,
through.
correct?
No, Mr. DePatie, brother.
You didn't bring it up. Okay.
So, just for clarification, the zoning board and the planning board, when asked to review things, should bring their own lawyer to make sure that actually our things are reviewed by our own lawyer.
okay, we're going off.
I mean, is that what we're supposed to do?
As far as this is going, I
We're
want
working
to
with you
take a
in
look
good
at-
faith.
No, you're not.
I assume
No, you're not.
that the planning board, which has been in existence for years and years and years, understood what their duties are.
And that they do.
And they do their duties.
Well, as a new member, I obviously didn't, because we didn't address this right for you to review what you asked us to do.
As I said, the only thing I recall specifically that was discussed was the ice throw. And I took it upon myself to contact, well, I did contact Heritage, and also to get studies.
Well, there was other things.
I'm sorry?
There was other things in there.
The only other thing I see in here that you brought up was having to do with the reforestation to 100%.
And we discussed that and decided that the farmers, the agricultural people may not want that.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay,
That was not an issue, that was gonna be a problem.
so that's the only other,
Were you guys able to?
the only other concern in here, and they're both brought up by you specifically, which is good, but they were not stated that the board makes these recommendations,
I would-
that's all.
I guess I would request that, as a member of the planning board, that we get the results back and told how we want our recommendation given to you, and give us another opportunity to pass on. those
What part of the
recommendations.
word recommendation
Well,
are
you're
you
not,
missing?
you're not accepting the recommendations in the minutes as we did, so now we need to have it outlaid the way you want it.
Because you said that you didn't even want to, we didn't need to review. Suggestions made by the planning board, they were just suggestions, not recommendations, and that it's not necessary for us as a town board to review, is what Lance was saying.
I said
Before we
it
set a public
constituted-
hearing.
It constituted a no action.
Right, so, and that's not what we planned on doing at all.
And it's also,
It was noted in there that we did want to, we were concerned that it was gonna have to take a no action, we were not gonna do that.
Lynn, did you have an opportunity to review the minutes from the planning board meeting?
No.
Margaret, did you have an
Yes, I
opportunity to review? Okay.
Simple, if we wanna
You wanna ask?
solve this whole thing,
Well, I
if it was
think you did. if you weren't
videotaped,
there,
get the tape and let's look at it.
Right, yeah,
I mean,
that's a great idea.
we're just getting way out of control here on everything. And I'm getting tired of it. So if we got a tape, let's look at the damn tape. Nice.
Moving on. Once again, to set up a public hearing for proposed wind law changes.
We should not set up a public hearing until we have evaluated the planning board's recommendations for the wind ordinance.
That's not a requirement. You can take those, quote, whatever you consider
Doing my
recommendations,
due diligence.
plus input from the townspeople in a hearing.
Okay, take your minutes out.
It's just obstructionist.
Yep, yep. Take them out. Everybody got them out?
I don't,
No.
no, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I got it. There's no way.
Did you print them? Were they?
No, because everybody got them electronically.
Okay, I was just asking because you specifically asked to take them out.
Take them out.
So if we didn't, we didn't print them
Take
out,
'em
there's two
Okay.
board members without a computer in front of them.
Okay, so let's go through this.
I have a copy of the tape.
There
if you want
is
it.
here,
I have a copy of the
as a
tape
list
right here if you want
of
it.
those that were present. Mr. Keeler read a statement, and due to the possibility of financial gain, he recused himself from this and picked up and left at 6:37. The meeting started at 6:30. Dr. McKenna spoke up saying he felt that there were 4 others that should recuse themselves, and there was a little discussion about that as well. Later in the evening, Mr. Mark read a quote from the Attorney General saying that those who have personally
They did recuse
spoken
themselves.
against the project because it compromises their ability to make impartial judgments should also recuse themselves. Mr. Miller stated the purpose of the meeting was to discuss the proposed changes to the wind law and make a recommendation to the town board. A recommendation. The changes were outlined on the last 2 pages of the seeker. You would like to dig down going through them. Dr. McKenna asked if the town of Barre Planning Board asked
If he could speak.
if he could speak. Yep, okay. Getting Mr. Watson up to speed on this subject, highlights from the following conversation from Dr. McKenna were: 2 years ago, we, the planning board, said to make no changes. Second bullet, we should have a copy of the University of Buffalo's report. Third bullet, should allow public input and come to an agreement. Fourth bullet, brought up his survey. Fifth bullet, some of these issues should be addressed at the town board and not here. Proposed law was not done solely by Heritage Wind, but also by Labella. Next one, Mr. Mark stated a comparison was done of what Heritage Wind and Labella, and it basically was the same. Next bullet, Mr. Mark stated that he has spent many hours with the town board to put together the current proposed law. Next bullet, NYSERDA only has the minimal standards. Next bullet, comprehensive plan should be up to date and not from 2008 before any discussions on the wind ordinance is done, which is the job of the planning board. Dr. Pogue stated the current plan was adopted in 2018. Next bullet, Mr. Mark stated that Barre is not the final approval. Mr. Mark stated that Barre is not the final approval of the project. There are referendums, surveys, siting board also. Next bullet, Mr. Mark stated it's being further removed from the local level to the state level with quoting from what he thinks was Article 94C. Next bullet, boards do not listen or pay attention to the general public, and the general public doesn't know what is going on. And last bullet, why are we changing our laws for Heritage when they knew what our laws were before they started the process? Remember, these were all, this was Mr. McKenna trying to bring Mr. Watson up to speed.
Well, they weren't all.
Principal changes.
They weren't all that way. I mean,
Section
Mr. Mark stated-
350-1031 A and B requires applicants to correct interference with existing communication links, telephone transmission lines, and fixed broadcast or reception antenna for radio, television, or wireless phone or other personal communication. I don't see any recommendation on that one. Section 350-103, and this is just repeating what was there, prohibits use of guy wires for turbines, meteorological towers, or transmission infrastructure, primarily due to the unsightly appearance and potential safety concerns with guy wires. Once again, no recommendation attached to that one, it's just a repeat of what was there. Section 350-103-1H, the former setback is not less than 1,000 feet. The change is for the setback to be 2 times the tip height to existing residential and commercial structures. Dr. McKenna suggested a popular half-a-mile setback from properties and not buildings.
Not a popular.
What?
That was gotten
What
from
about, excuse
a
me,
Wind Institute. Texas
what
Wind
about,
Institute.
I'm just reading what the minutes have to
Right,
say.
and I'm saying,
okay?
I'm correcting where it's, you know,
Well, you don't correct me, you gotta correct the person that took the minutes or your, chairman, thank you. What about snow throws? Suggestions made of 1,800 feet being middle ground. Dr. McKenna stated that many universities offer courses on wind energy and do offer information, and this is free of charge. Next bullet there, highest setback is 3 times the tip height. This is all Dr. McKenna. Dr. McKenna came up with a formula and is willing to share.
It wasn't,
Okay,
it was,
so this was all, once again, that is talking about the setback, and Dr. McKenna made some suggestions. Once again, it does not say a recommendation, it's just things that Dr. McKenna put into the notes at that time.
okay, so,
Next.
Supervisor Pope, hold on. Planning Board wind law recommendations. This was the email that we received from Lee Preston this afternoon at 1:17 p.m. I have attached the recommendation from the planning board regarding the wind law for you. The understanding, it is labeled wind law review, but recommendation is in there twice. This is their recommendation.
Because that's what they had called it.
Including these comments for us to review and to look into. And I believe that maybe we should just watch the video or fast forward to these sections, to these specific areas to make sure that we
Okay.
have a clear understanding.
I'm not going
setback.
any further with this whatsoever. I'm not going to. I don't care for delay tactics.
It's not a
Putting
delay
up-
tactic.
No,
It
no,
is
I'm done. I'm
let's
done.
make sure that we follow what our
Okay.
recommendations
Okay.
from our other boards are. Let's respect their time and the time and energy that they've invested into this as well.
That's right,
Okay.
that's right. That's the right thing to do.
What would others propose to do with this, out of curiosity?
Set a date. The right thing to do.
Well, we have a workshop set for December 1st. We'll throw this in as part of that workshop. How's that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay? That sounds perfect to me.
I move that we add to our workshop scheduled for December 1st at 6:30 PM, that we also discuss the recommendations that the planning board has submitted to the town board.
Okay, now, since we're gonna cover that part right there, we should have no problem with having the final papers that we need for the proposed wind law changes. I wanna see when we can set up a date for the wind law changes. Public hearing.
I'm sorry, are you getting a second to her motion
Oh, that's right.
to add the planning board's recommendation to the town board on the changes?
To review their recommendations, yes. Discuss it, right?
So-called recommendation.
So-called recommended, yeah.
Add planning board's recommendations.
To review their supposed recommendations to the town board.
All right, this is to be, Carrie,
Yes.
your motion was to add this discussion to the workshop scheduled for 6:30 on the December 1st date,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay, so.
Add it to the agenda because we gotta
Correct.
publicize it.
Right. Okay, to add the planning board's recommendations
And suggestions.
and suggestions to the town board on the
Town board,
proposed, what?
the town board workshop.
Right, on the town board on the proposed wind law changes. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now a motion to set a public hearing date. First week of December there. Do I hear a motion where we can set up a public hearing for the proposed wind law changes that first week? It will have to be after Tuesday, the 1st. So you're looking at, and let's say Wednesday, we need to have, put this stuff all together.
The 3rd?
Yeah, well,
Oh, this is for the workshop?
this is for the,
Okay.
no.
This is for the public hearing. I can't
On the
be
wind law
included.
changes,
No,
which will use the town
unless you wanna go daytime.
barn.
I can't be in two places. I'm already here.
Do you have to let the municipalities know?
No, she's not ready to.
The 4th?
Friday.
What is that?
You can't have this room anyways.
You know what? I said, it's on the
Highway.
garage. Highway garage.
Okay. So you can have it at 5, be done by 7? No, 5:45, never mind. You can have it after court?
Not if it was like last month.
Yeah.
Looks like it's 4th then.
What,
Sean, can I ask a question about what would happen in the event of COVID restrictions changing?
Well, that's the one thing we'll have to take a look at. The way numbers are increasing so significantly in all areas, not just Monroe or Erie County, but here in Genesee and Orleans County as well. I don't know how it might be able to be handled.
2 people texted me that they were kicked off, but they were able to get back on about 5 minutes ago, just so you know.
so it's.
We didn't do it.
I know, that's what I told them, I'm like, they didn't hang up on you, it's just.
No.
December
I don't know what
4th,
it's
what
That
time?
might not be court then, or
So,
judges
I
are talking.
I don't know how we might be able to handle that. I might have to finally break down and see what can be done with Zoom it may be. But then, a large number of our population doesn't have access to the internet at this time.
Can we do that at 5 o'clock, Sean,
5 o'clock?
please,
On the 4th?
on the 4th?
5 o'clock then?
A lot of people are working, they can't come out.
Well, you gotta publicize it, so you gotta know now.
5 o'clock might be too
Yeah,
early.
because I
And you
also
don't
have to
know.
send notice to all the neighboring towns
Yep.
in Genesee County.
What if we
They'll have to
did
get
this?
notice.
So we'll go with the 4th,
The 4th.
because we can't, we don't know what the story will
I
be
know
this
it's
morning.
Friday.
At 5 o'clock, if people are working, getting out of work, is the concern.
Then do it at 6.
What?
I'm not trying to be, thank you. I'm not really sure how to.
I am up every morning at 4:30, dear.
I understand
Next
that,
2
and
days
you've also
before the
been
town
elected
board
as I'm just saying, we're trying to serve the public and it's a public hearing. I'm not trying to give you a hard time or not allow you to get to your sleep.
Her and I worked well together to get all those other letters.
Even for the neighboring counties.
Hey, guys, what time?
No, I'm just saying, getting it published and sent
Oh,
out.
12
I had the notice already.
Is there gonna be notice that public postcards, everybody to the public?
So,
Notification.
we're looking at the 4th at
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock,
Oh my God.
4th at 6 PM
On Friday?
on a Friday night.
I think we should probably put it in the,
Hey, my husband.
no, any
That's
sense?
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. First a national holiday,
A lot
now
of people
Friday
don't
night.
get to do it.
Right.
Yeah, well, Friday nights are
Do you
an
have a
holiday, national
motion?
holiday.
Everybody
Who
gets
made
a
the
penny.
motion?
They may not look at it.
Who
Anybody
made
make
the
a motion?
motion to have a workshop or a public hearing on a Friday night? Who made that motion?
I did.
Second?
I'll second it.
Vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Could we put a notice in the penny saver of this? I mean, we don't want to, that's too much to send a postcard to everybody. Just a little, all it is a reader,
Well, it goes into the Batavia Daily is, definitely is in there. Yeah, we can do a small blurb.
because a lot of people don't get the daily, I don't get it. Everybody gets the penny saver, if they look at it or not, they get it.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do a small blurb for the penny saver.
All right, let's go on.
We can do that. Send notices to what towns?
Well, I have a whole list. It's all the townships that are within 500 feet of the,
Of the town.
of the town.
Or surrounding the town.
Okay, we had a motion, we had a second, I didn't hear the vote.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, we said, we thought we said.
No, you started asking questions, so we didn't get a vote, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I will be there, but I don't like to have it on Friday at 6 o'clock. So that's my only reason for opposing.
Right.
You opposed to that?
Yeah,
I'm so carried then.
if you don't mind reasoning, I would appreciate it.
December 1st. That's the workshop. December 1st is at 6.
These notices will go out to the paper either
December 1st
tomorrow
is the
or
workshop
Friday,
meeting.
as well as to those townships in Genesee County. So we just leave it out.
What townships?
December,
You want a list of them all?
December,
Can't be that many. There's
Well, there's quite a
Oakfield,
few.
Elba.
December 4th
You got
is
county,
at 6 o'clock.
Genesee County.
All right,
And
so
then
are
there's
you
one
going
on
to
the
have this
18th. I
in a
think the
written
18th
form
is 6:30
for me?
as well. The 11, 18, 6:30. So
I
there's
want
three
them
meetings.
finished then tomorrow morning?
I didn't know you were gonna be married to this place.
Tom?
You got it all.
I'll find it here.
Neither did I.
You had it all ready for the last time, and then we canceled it. Remember, you got that, because we did publish it, and then we canceled it.
We've also changed the number on the law, local law number 2 to local law number 3. Because local law number 2 became the chief of tax cap.
Okay,
You can take a copy of this if you want. This has all the towns in there.
my report, I had it here.
Can I add some questions from old business that aren't on the agenda
That's my copy.
I'll give it right back.
before we get into the other stuff?
Go ahead.
Water District 10, did we have a meeting with Clarendon and intermunicipal agreement and all that stuff?
Yes, we did have a meeting with Clarendon. What we have decided is we're going back to the original proposal. It's no change in cost whatsoever. Instead of trying to tap into their line and then coming from their line back across the road to continue north on Transit Road, in which case then it would be Clarendon's water, which they get Monroe County water. Monroe County does not allow out-of-district users, which means the people on the north end of Transit Road would not be able to be serviced. So what we did is we went back to the original engineering report and decided to run our line all the way up the west side of Transit Road, to take care of all our customers up through there. No change in cost at this time. Who knows when it comes time for closing? But at this time, there's no change.
Does that create another dead end?
You were gonna
It would have been a dead end either way.
And
And
would
they don't
that,
ask for an automatic flusher to be put into that as well. So it will be flushed periodically. They program those.
and my other question is, water pressure and the amount of water that we have. I know that that has been,
Water pressure out there should be the same as what you and I have at our homes right now, out in that section. You're closer to that section than I am.
so it shouldn't go down at all.
No.
No, it should have the same pressure on it.
Okay.
Okay?
Let's see here.
Okay, supervisor's report, the expenses through October on average should equal about 83.3% of the annual budget. So the general fund town-wide, we have used 68.4% of the annual budget. That's about 15% less than what we should be at, or the average is at. So we're below. Highway department's at 77.61%, which is also less, about 5% less than the projected, or the average is for this time of the year. So we're doing pretty good at trying to save money this year. So that's my report. Highway report, everybody's got a copy of that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Same thing, water samples and reading acquired, flush were needed, installing MXUs on Water District 9. Those are the readers, so that they don't have to go into the person's home to read the meters. They pick it up by just, their computer picks it up as they drive by the house, which is how everybody else's homes are read now, water district, or water meters are read. 2 people went to water class in Carlton, shared services with the following, and it's just about all the towns in the, and village of Albion and Holly in the county here. Sign repairs completed, mowing roadsides completed, hot patching, buildings in their building, they serviced their oil water separator. Setting up trucks for the winter. If you notice, there's a plow sitting out front. I hated them seeing it. All the 10-wheelers passed their inspections, equipment repairs completed, and they picked up 20 concrete barriers for support of the old salt barn. The old salt barn right behind here, we gotta have salt in 2 buildings. The one that looks like a Quonset, then we have the wooden one, and that's deteriorating quite rapidly. We're gonna have to tear that down in the next few years probably. Okay. Maureen just gave me her report. You gave me the same report twice.
One is for the board.
There you go. Okay, and she has given me a check for $1,086 for 7 building permits, numerous dog licensing, conservation, and clerk fees. Okay. Planning and zoning. Shelley's not here, so Carrie, have you seen anything? She doesn't seem to be getting these reports out like she did before, just before a board meeting.
I have talked to her, I emailed her, I didn't hear back from, prior to this meeting, but I will touch base with her again.
This is for October 1.
But she used to everything up to the date. Can I finish talking?
That's
Everything
her
up to
monthly report for October.
for October. I'm just saying that in the past, she had always given me or put one in my mailbox on the Tuesday night she was in pertaining to everything she had up to that point. That's what I was trying to say. We've had 50 permits issued through the end of October then.
But I don't know if we want to separate out for future meetings, because I just talked to Shelley, I don't think that I'm actually the liaison for the planning. And I normally will have planning board members here. But I haven't been reaching out to anybody or any planning board members.
Well, if you notice, we don't have zoning on here. Well, it's planning zoning, meaning Shelley who deals with all that, and you're the liaison with Shelley.
Okay.
So that's why, because she takes care of those 2 areas.
Okay.
It's not to the boards themselves. Just like here with the assessor. You got anything from Barry?
Yes, so Barry sent out the report that you forwarded to everyone. And it is on the website in regards to assessed values, continuing as the real estate market is still very good. Assessed values, the homes are selling above assessed values, and that will be evaluated again next year. And he goes through and explains that, so if anyone's interested, it is on the town website, or we probably have some copies that we could share. But just that they are anticipated. The ones that he had was through October, and they're anticipated to, there's some more that haven't officially closed yet, that will be closing by the end of this year that will probably increase that even more.
About farm acreage.
Farm acreage was 200 an acre increase, and residential, so it'll be like the same across the board. And if anyone has questions on that or would like clarification, Barry is more than willing, his cell phone number and information is available, or I can give it to you. He's more than willing to talk with people about that.
Okay. Park, anything new there, Lynn? I know that they did, it was brought up last board meeting about the porta-johns, they have been removed. Mr. Mark?
What I want to bring up is with regard to solar law. As I think everybody knows, in our law, we opted out of section 487 of the real property tax law. Basically, as an overview, that law automatically exempts wind and solar projects from taxation for the value of their improvements, unless the municipality opts out, which we did in the act itself. However, we also are required to send a copy of the law to the director of NYSERDA, president of NYSERDA, and to the commissioner of taxation and finance, which I have done. So we have received a notice from AES of their intention to commence construction now. That's something, it's a formality, and then we are required within 60 days of receipt of that notice to tell them if we're going to require a pilot agreement. And basically, since we've opted out, there would not be a pilot agreement. I think in my discussions with Sean, we felt that the project was not significant enough that it would require a pilot. And under the pilot, they would not be required to pay anything more in taxes than they would be under a normal assessment. So at this juncture, as far as that project is concerned, with the board's authorization, I would send a letter of response saying that we have opted out of that section 487. So there is not going to be a pilot. There would simply be a normal tax assessment on the value of their improvements.
And that's just for the Barre project.
That's for the Barre project.
So I hear a motion so Lance can send a letter to AES.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
What's the motion?
Motion is for me to respond to their notice of intended construction and to tell them that we have opted out of section 487. So there would not be a pilot agreement because they would be taxed according to the normal assessment.
Can I have the verbiage of that tomorrow morning?
You can get a copy of the letter when I send it, if you like,
When will that be?
tomorrow.
Can you email that to me?
I can email it to you, sure.
Is it premature to, like, we are gonna be talking about their seeker, they're talking about construction and we haven't even approved, or is that, I'm just,
No, the construction hasn't been approved, they understand it. This is just simply, they're notifying us of their intention to construct. They still have to get all the requisite permits and things. It's simply a matter of informing us so that we can tell them, essentially how they're gonna pay their tax on it.
Did someone make the motion?
I did, and I think Margaret seconded.
Yeah, I seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Mark?
That's all for me. And I will apologize again on this mission. I try very hard not to lose my temper. Sometimes it gets the better of me, and I do apologize.
Accepted.
Um,
I'm
Can I
more
have a-
concerned about money.
Question about the border property update.
With the Forder property, I contacted, I was given the father's name and phone number. I contacted him, had a very interesting conversation with him. He had signed that property over to his daughter, being Katie Forder. And when she married, her husband got a job out in Minnesota, so they moved out there where he has a very good job, and she does as well at this time. Her brother, his son, was living there up until about 9 months ago, so I had a discussion with him about getting some of that maintenance taken care of there, and he told me he would get out there and do so. So it's all up in the air right now. We'll just have to keep an eye on the place before we go any further with it.
And, COPA update? Was there a town meeting?
Nope. Well, there was a town meeting on that. Tom and I were at that.
We got another meeting the 19th at the town of Bellevue.
Yes. If you so wish to attend it, and it will be, the town has just sat and talked about it and scratched our heads, basically. This meeting coming up will be with the fire districts, representatives from the fire districts and representatives from the towns.
And COLA.
I'm sorry?
And also COLA will be there.
So that's where the discussion will be at that time. They're also looking at putting together a task force, maybe, Tom? Where there would be a person.
Committee, some sort, so that we don't get overgrown. As many times you bring it up, you get 20 people in a room, you don't accomplish anything. So they're looking at keeping it as small as they can with representation to see what they can do to help over their problem.
And that's about it for those. Anything else?
I did have, just that, we had 2 residents, from Barre that have, passed away. I believe it was this past week. One being David Lounsbury at 97 years old. He lived over on, West Barre Road. And then,
the golf cart.
the golf cart. You helped him that one time when he rode his golf cart down to, and he got disoriented. But he was a wonderful, wonderful man and a character, and then also Dolores Sloman. So just a couple of losses there. So just wanted to share those. And then also I had sent out an email. I didn't get any responses in regards to I had a resident who has children who are doing school stuff, and they are struggling with internet and are incredibly frustrated. I know that we have in the past just talked to our representatives and done things to try and I know that we are trying. Unfortunately, they're not on the list to get high-speed internet still. And so just ways that we may be able to, I didn't know, maybe for the next meeting, I asked to put it on the agenda for this meeting, but it's very late. A resolution to send out a letter or something. I can try and maybe draft something about the internet and how it's crucial at this time for our student population.
After I saw your letter, I contacted Greenlight again. And Greenlight is the one that started up in Rochester. They just opened up either real early spring or late winter in Buffalo. I called them again, I've called them once a year here, asking when they could come here, but they're still building out, right now they're building out into Henrietta in Rochester, and they're doing a couple of areas inside the city of Buffalo. And I point out to them, you're using the fiber optic network, it passes right through our town. Why can't you just, let us tap into it as well, set up your equipment here? But no, they gotta go where the money is. So that's where they're going, where the highest population, where they can make the most money out of for right now. There was also another one, I remembered seeing it a bit, for those those in the town of Barre. I reached out to the guy that is in charge of that, who has communicated with me in the past, but he hasn't gotten back to me yet. Like I said, after I saw your email, I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I need to, where are we with this? Because this build out is supposed to be completed by the end of April 2021. And we know that they've been busy working down like on Burns and I can't think of the next road, run parallel.
Kramer. No, that's not
No.
right.
Crane.
Crane.
Crane Road and Burns Road down there.
But I haven't
That they've been
seen them
down
much
there
down
laying, what?
I haven't seen them down there in a very long while.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago, so I don't know, because there's sections up, like going out, Wesley Road there was a large run going out that way. And up in the northeast corner of town as well, where they're supposed to be. It's on the map showing where they're going to be putting in the new fiber optic cable. Well, I call it cable because that's what we're used to saying all the time, but it's the same as cable, but it's fiber optic for both TV and internet and telephone.
Yeah, I did reach out to them as well, but what I got was that they're running into some problems with that every telephone pole is owned by a different entity, and that there's political stuff involved, and some of them are dragging their feet, so like they're running into problems getting permission to actually run on the telephone lines.
That's interesting because they're doing all fiber optic running in the ground out
That
that
was
way,
what
so
they, that's what they
that's
said.
interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure, that's what was shared with me, so.
Okay. So that's where we're at with that right now. It's big business, so we're trying to get them to move on stuff. Hopefully by the end of April, we will have a large section taken care of. We still have the free Wi-Fi here, anybody that wants to use it here. I know it's kind of tough to package up your kids to do their homework and be sitting in the parking lot, especially with the cold weather coming.
Right.
But we do have the hotspot here, and that's all you have to do when they pull up out front. Search for Wi-Fi's, it'll say Barre hotspot. They just click on that, there's no passwords, no nothing, and they're on.
Yeah,
Doesn't
and
cost them anything, or it doesn't cost us anything.
I did share that with them as well.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, first speaker then, Ms. McKenna.
Iowa McKenna, 15202 East Barre Road. One thing is that I hope that we're taking advantage of the fact that Barry Flansburgh is very familiar with the pilot program, and I hope that we are using him as a knowledgeable resource that we don't have to pay for consideration of the pilot program. Another thing is, I pulled together a list of the people that made comments in the letter that we sent around to people. And I would like to read a few of them because although we're all tired of this and wish it would just go away, the fact is that people are going to be dramatically impacted by this in our community. So please don't give up on us. Please don't give up on us. I'm going to read just a few of them. These big companies in New York State love to use small towns for a dumping ground, dividing a once tight community against each other. The lake would be a more suitable location for turbines as there is more wind electric production. Barre needs to focus on updating what it has, such as a new fire department, natural gas, and cable in the rural areas. Will the state help with that? Especially a new fire hall that is so deserving to its members in the community. There are too many red flags associated with this project, especially with the verbiage such as possibility of might lower taxes. The community members who have signed up for this had better read the fine print very closely. They're ugly, they create health problems. This is another one. They create health problems. Already having trouble with internet signal, not worth the money to install them. They only last a few years, not worth it. Another one, and many people felt that it would be best to vote on it so that everyone would be heard. If you choose to not allow your community to tell you how they truly feel about this, you are taking advantage of what your position is on this town board, and you are not letting everyone have a voice. I agree, everyone should be able to speak and vote on this matter. Shouldn't be up to the very board. I do know that our family of 3 voters were never given the chance to vote. Detrimental to wildlife, the earth, and most importantly, us as humans. There should be a vote on this. We would love not to have to pay taxes, but sometimes you have to suffer a little for the good of the area. Thank you for your work on this. Another one, thank you for speaking up and offering all the residents a voice, not just the ones paid off. Another one, thank you. You can't have it all in life. There is a stiff tax to pay for living in Barre, but larger tax base means heavier population, more traffic, turbines. No thanks, not worth it. 20 years is also a horrendous return on the destruction of wooded area habitats. It's not right. Another one. The only one that makes out on this deal is the guy that's installing it and the guy that owns the property. Sure, they may lower our taxes, but they raise your assessment to make up for it, just like they've been doing for years. Another one. Not impressed with past info given regarding turbines. Have felt they would benefit Heritage more than the residents of Barre. Appreciate your letter and hope to feel heard. Was feeling very taken advantage of. Another one. I absolutely do not want the wind turbines in Barre. There will be 3 directly behind my house, and I will gladly keep paying my insane property taxes not to see or hear them. Another one. I am torn by my decision because I feel we need to pull away from fossil fuels, but there are other considerations. Have traveled out west. Large wind farms in open land where there are no residents for miles makes more sense to me as a suitable location for wind power. Another one is our feeling that the windmills will only benefit the few. We would love for the town to focus on its infrastructure, i.e. high-speed internet. Bring something to Barre that everyone can benefit from. Another, we believe that turbines will degrade the country landscape that we moved here for, and reduced taxes will not make up for that. Another, we do not want the wind turbines. We feel we have not been properly educated on the matter. After research, we feel that the turbines will not be beneficial to our entire community. These are just a few. There are also some negative ones, and I will try to read them at the next meeting. But I just really would appreciate everybody considering all the people of this community.
Thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Mathis.
Yes, Kirk Mathis Road. I'd like to make a suggestion and maybe a comment. Mostly you, Carrie, you have a lot of questions, which is fine, but Sean's in that office pretty much every day during the week. And a lot of those could be brought forward at that time. Instead of arguing it out, I'm really embarrassed for what's going on. The interruptions, the accusations, people that don't follow the rules. I think there's an apology from this side that should get made to the board for the outbursts and interruptions. You know, I sit back there, and there's a lot of things that upset me. You've never heard a word out of me. But every meeting this goes on. And it is an embarrassment. Don't interrupt me, Carrie.
Okay, sorry.
Very simple
You're done.
suggestion. Get in there sometime. You've prepared a lot of questions, took a lot of time to come up with them. There's no reason you can't hash it out ahead of time. I don't need any response.
I would like to respond not to Kirk, but to Sean, in that we did not receive an agenda for tonight's meeting until we arrived here this evening. We did not receive the financial information or vouchers until we got them on Monday.
My time's
And
still up.
I believe that on Monday, but unfortunately this month, they came through to my, to a different folder and they didn't come through to my email. So I also agree that if this information was sent out ahead of time,
Come and get it.
I would
If
review
it's not being
it. I
sent, come and
spent
get
all day today, going through, and I sent emails and I made
Gary, you're
requests.
showboating, and you're trying to make the board look foolish.
So
And
are
it
you,
is bad.
was I talking or are you
Now,
interrupting
see,
me now?
you had to make a comment.
Thanks, sorry.
Look,
No, there's no
can I-
excuse for
Can I
it.
make a
I was
comment?
just talking. Go
Look, can
ahead,
I-
Tom.
Okay. You say you were getting these things, and that's true, we do at times, but you don't understand at times what goes on in that office and how much coming in. I was in here yesterday, today, and Sean had 4 different agendas made up, trying to get things put together, so he could come in here. There's no way he could send those out, because somebody's gonna look at this one, and then they're gonna look at this one and say, well, what are you doing? We need one agenda. And as far as the bills and that, Lee is inundated in there, the stuff coming in. And we're just trying, and she tries to keep up and give up with it.
But that's why there's going to be questions at this meeting. If we had workshops, or if we had an agenda
Have
set
a
out ahead
workshop.
of time,
Then we could have,
then I am
a
not
workshop.
opposed
This
to
is
that.
disturbing.
I'm
2.5
not
hours,
opposed-
it should be an hour at the most.
I agree.
I am not opposed to that at all, but we have a lot on our agenda right now, and just because we have a lot on our agenda doesn't mean that we should just skip through things as quickly as possible. We still need to do our job.
All right.
When we don't
You
receive
got,
things
make sure you
until
got the
day
last
of,
word in, Carrie,
that's a challenge.
because you always do.
I appreciate your time.
Maybe we need to look at putting workshops back to get some of this stuff taken care of.
We can reinstitute them.
I mean, there's no problem with
Or
it.
send out the agenda the day of the workshop, what we would have had the workshop.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I wasn't on the list, but may I speak or no?
No.
So
Do I
we'd
hear a
like to
motion?
ask the same thing. I don't feel like.
No,
I have one
I
other,
think we had plenty long enough night already.
we did receive another email, and I just want to make sure from Katie Smith. Did everyone receive that?
No?
I will forward it to you right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do I hear a motion then?
I make a motion we adjourn.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Margaret? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone.
Lynn, I wanted to say thank you, for saying take a look at those videos. Because I know you can tell